good afternoon. This is going to be fireside chat play beyond gaming for well-being and inspiring today's creators. The speakers are Daniel Haun, Senior Manager, Civility and Partnerships, Roblox. Lais Migliori, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Chamarelli, University of Sao Paulo, University of Sao Paulo. Okay, as digital spaces increasingly shape players' well-being, this fireside chat explores how that reality can become an opportunity for creators. Anchored by the Roblox and Games for Change, encouraging positive connection and well-being challenge. We'll dig into new community connection and prosocial design can create real impact in players' lives. This session will also look at how gaming can open doors to careers beyond the traditional game creator role, reach diverse global generations, and how making gaming more accessible can help build a healthier, more empathetic digital world. Please welcome to the stage Daniel Haun from Roblox and Lais Migliori Chamarelli from University of Sao Paulo.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so thrilled to be here at my first Games for Change, representing Roblox's Civility team. As mentioned, my name is Daniel Haun. I'm Senior Manager on the Civility team, leading partnerships. And I'm thrilled to be welcoming our challenge winners to the stage today, along with one of our Game Jam operators and organizers. I'm going to turn it over to them to introduce themselves, and we'll get into our chat. Lais?
Hi everyone, I'm Lais. I'm a 23-year-old Brazilian. I study literature in the University of São Paulo. And I am actually in love with gaming, but I wasn't a professional programmer or anything. I was always on the artist side. And for some way I ended up here and I made soundtracks, I made history for gaming. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Jacobson. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I recently completed an MFA in interactive media at the University of Miami. So my work kind of sits in this space between mental health primarily and gaming for mental health, especially as it applies to intergenerational play. Having parents and kids play together is kind of my main thing where I'm working right now.
Well, I'm Gilson Schwartz, President, Games for Change Latin America. So I encourage all of you to visit our blog, and all the content is also in the book corner. And I was, honored to be the curator of the Roblox Change at the Institute of Advanced Studies of the University of São Paulo. What's that? Games at that level of advanced transdisciplinary, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will. Well, if you don't know much about Roblox and Roblox's Civility team, largely we are responsible for helping our players and our communities with their well-being, their mental health, their online safety. We advocate not only internally through our own advocacy, but by partnering with great organizations like Games for Change to bring well-being and mental health to the forefront of the work we do. So we're really thrilled for the first time, especially on our team, to partner with Games for Change on this global design challenge that really asks developers to lean into the idea of how can you support or influence well-being, online safety through gaming. So we made a call out to the Games for Change community, partnering with local chapters to do game jams in Brazil, in India, and in South Korea. And we asked them to submit their ideas to us, which brings us to this moment where we can celebrate our two fantastic winners. So to turn it over to them, I'm going to start with Lais. Unfortunately, her co-designer, Victor, was not able to join us today, but we do have a special little video from him. Before we get to that, Lais, would you tell us a little bit about when you went into the Game Jam and how you met Victor?
As I was talking to you, I'm not a programmer. I am a musician and a literature student. And when I first decided to join the game jam, I was like, what I'm going to do? Like, I can write, I can make music, but can I make games? So I was like, what the hell? But then when I went to the game jam, Victor was there and he was like, wow, I can program. He's like all the like little nerd with the glasses and like the computer and like I can program, I can manage it, but I'm not that creative. I don't know what to do. I don't know the story. When I met him, he had like the game all built already. Like he had like the mechanics, the design, but like he didn't have a story. So I was like, okay, let's just pair up and do this together. So we met at the game jam and we made a cooperative game that you literally need a partner to play. And we realized that, well, our game history actually ends up in our reality because if we weren't together, like this wouldn't happen. He probably would have this excellent game machine, but with not the mature story, and I would have like, I don't know, a paper and a song that is not a game, so everything ends up like matching with the game story and our real lives.
Amazing. So let's hear from our second place winner, Island of Communion. Let's play the video.
Hi everyone, my name is Victor Seidel. I am 20 years old and I have been developing games since I was 10. Early this year, I joined the Roblox and Games for Change challenge. And together with my teammate Lais, we created a game called Island of Communion and it ended up in second place. The core idea of the game is simple, maybe a little radical, but it's basically you cannot play alone. Every puzzle, every step forward only works if you are playing with someone else. We wanted the act of playing itself to mirror something true about well-being, that we don't get through hard things alone. Connection isn't a bonus feature of a health life, it's basically a requirement. So we built a game that the system itself refuses to let you forget that. What excites me about this space is that we can let people feel the idea instead of being told it. That's what we try with our game Island of Communion, and having it here at the festival it means a lot to me as someone still early in this gaming career. Thank you so much everyone for having us, and I hope you all enjoy exploring the island. Thank you.
Let's give a hand for our second place winners, please. Thank you. Amazing. So now, turning to our first place winner, Justin, why don't you set up your clip with a little 30-second intro about the premise of your game?
Yeah, so the object of this game came from the idea that a lot of times in my therapeutic practice, I worked with children, and one of the best things you can do for children is help their parents and help their relationship, right? One challenge that I saw was that when parents and kids don't live together, it's very hard for them to play together, right? There's spaces where they can talk and communicate, they can do a FaceTime call, but I didn't see many solutions that would allow for playful interaction. And really what I've learned is that that's how kids bond, right? Through play. That's the main way they can build attachment, basically. And so what I wanted to do was build a game that from anywhere in the world, a parent and child could come together and have a personal space where they could engage playfully, have fun. And I built the game on top of therapeutic principles that I had used in my practice. And so that was really the hope, right? That children who may not have access to that kind of play would have it through the game.
Amazing. Let's take a look at our first place winner, Gather Together. Awesome. Let's hear it for our first place winner. Now, I think both of you really hit the idea of well-being and especially prosocial design really well in both of your games. So I'm going to start, Justin, with you. When you were thinking about building a game that is beyond just entertainment, beyond just playing for fun, tell us a bit about how you thought about that game through the lens of well-being, and what did you think about how your game was going to be, what was it going to be impacting as you designed it?
Yeah, so interestingly, the project didn't actually start out with the plan of making a game. I kind of knew the problem, right, which was how do parents and children play when they don't live together. And from there, I looked at a handful of different solutions and what would the benefits of each solution be. Video games, is what I eventually arrived on. Do a couple of things that are really cool that stood out in this context. One is that they work well at a distance, right? The play value, the fun, oftentimes can work just as well if you're in the same room or if you're not in the same room. So that was a huge benefit. In addition to that, I've heard at this conference so many of the amazing benefits of play, right? And in this context, I think play allows parents and children and people in general to come together easily, to mend disruptions in their relationship, to take risks, to be bold, to feel comfortable with themselves. And so due to those two factors, as I looked at many different solutions, a video game just fits so well because of some of the benefits inherent in there. As I set about creating the game, it then became a pretty fun and pretty cool challenge of taking the things I knew that were beneficial for parent-child attachment and mapping them to play game mechanics that were already known and loved, right? And so it became a cool way to kind of blend those two worlds in a way that will hopefully help children who might not have access otherwise to that kind of playful experience with their parents.
Amazing. And now, Lais, your game is less about parent-child play, co-play, but it's more about friends, it's more about community. Tell us a little bit about how you thought about well-being in your game development and what you hope it'll impact in people's lives.
Okay, so I live in São Paulo. That is the biggest city in Latin America. And even with 20 million people, I get really lonely sometimes. And I feel that my generation, we have this problem, we are almost always lonely. We feel the kind of loneliness that even when we are in a room full of people, we feel like we're not actually connecting with them. So when me and Victor, we met, it was really nice because it felt like we already knew each other, we connected really well, and then we felt like, okay, maybe we can make a game to make other people feel that connect. Because our game is a cooperative game. So you're not competing with each other. You are actually working together to get through the mini games and to make the island flourish again. So you have the same goal. So you need to actually talk with your partner. You need to actually recognize where I'm better, where you are better, where we can actually I tried this, you try that. So the game implies that you need a good communication. The game implies that you need to actually have a partnership. And that's what we thought that would actually impact the players positive, because there's a lot of competitive games nowadays, a lot, and we get always stressed playing them. And even though we are actually talking to other people, we are not connecting with them. We are just cursing them. So we didn't want that. We wanted a game that made people actually, I don't know. We hope that when you play our game, you and your friend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your parents, I don't know who you want to play with, we actually hope that after the game, you look at each other and say, hey, that was nice, you're good at that.
I can speak, so as a judge of your game, whether you believe it or not, that exactly happened with me and the co-player that I had to go find to play the game, because you have to play it with someone else. And we did exactly what you just described. We cooperated, we learned to do as much better at certain things. It usually was not me, the good one at the tasks. But talk a little bit about some of the competencies you put in your game. So each island had a theme, it was teaching a well-being skill. Can you just talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, we had 4 islands in our games, and each of them has this pattern of mini games. So each island has 4 mini games, and we have the communication island, we have the recognition island, and we have all these mini games that combine the feeling that we want people to feel when they're at the island playing. So like we have this this game that is one of my favorite ones, that it has math and has like letters, and you have to, you know, if your partner is better at math, you do the math. If I'm better at like word searching, I do this part. So all the different islands has like different things that you need to connect to complete the mini games.
Skills, right?
Yeah, different skills.
Yeah, amazing. So now, Gilson, turning to you as the leader of the Game Jam in Brazil that resulted in a wonderful second place winner, you speak really eloquently about how community and well-being go beyond just the gameplay experience. Can you talk a little bit about how bringing the Game Jam to the university and through the interdisciplinary studies program, what that impact was?
Well, we have been doing jams for several years now, most of them on campus, but also activities in vulnerable territories, communities, slums, and for the last 3 years we've been doing that kind of program. So when the Roblox Jam Challenge came into view, it was like a perfect match, because we are talking about community building as a prerequisite for knowledge building. So that kind of sociality of knowledge is something that most of the people who've been working with the internet over the last decades, they have ignored in terms of thinking more in information systems, okay? Systems analysis and all that. But there's a knowledge dimension, which is really creative, that requires context, communion. That's the point. Yeah. So the connection between creativity and commonality, the ability to share, not necessarily values, but maybe pragmatic priorities, like let's save this island. But what island is that? Is that an imaginary island? What island is that? So territory, I want to announce now, not even Lais knows about this. This is the first live launch, Games for Change Latin America, next year's festival. Based on the result of this jam, the theme will be territory.
Awesome.
So Island of Communion became not only a live experience of creativity and cooperation for, for Lais and Vitor, but for us at the university, it kind of became a guideline, an inspirational guideline, a purpose that will be engineered into the design of our festival next year. So
that's amazing.
Wait for news on that.
Thank you so
territory.
much. Yeah.
If you want an example, connection between technology, territory, and cooperation, take a look at our Roblox winner and come on board, because you want much more. There's so many issues linked to the territory, starting with the body.
Yeah. Well, I think that also brings up a good point, pivoting to our kind of idea around the prosociality of the games. So a core part of the challenge was to build that prosociality into the game, whether it's encouraging prosocial behavior, like helping or sharing or cooperating. So Justin, when you were creating this opportunity for your game players, you focused a lot on shared spaces, kind of as Gilson was mentioning. So what was your hope here when you created that mechanic that ideally a parent and a child come together and build a shared space? What opportunities did that represent to you?
Yeah, so in the game, there's a space where players can amass resources and they can kind of build and design this shared space. Initially, it kind of evolved over time. Initially, the idea was just to have that kind of be the reward. So they earn the materials, now they can go build. I had kind of an experience that kind of maybe raised my vision on what this could be. I did a play test with a mother and her son. And the mom said before, like, I never in a million years dreamed I would be, inside of Roblox playing a game. But she joined. She showed up with an avatar that looked more or less like her. her son showed up. He had played a lot. He showed up in an avatar that was like a giant round hamster that, like, when he walked, his whole body would jiggle. And the mom had some trouble navigating the 3D space. So at some point, the son said, like, if you just jump on my head, I can carry you where we need to go. So you can kind of imagine this this scenario of this, this mother that looks like herself in the game, kind of majestically riding this very fat, jiggly hamster through the neon track. And all three of us, like, as I'm watching and as they're playing, all three of us are just, I mean, we can hardly breathe because we're laughing so hard, right? It kind of hit me that a lot of the power of a space like this might not be in specific mechanics designed to be done the way that I imagine them, right? A lot of the power is getting two people who care about each other together and they have a toy that they can mess around with and do whatever they want with, right? From that point, after seeing that and a few other things, I kind of shifted the idea from being like design something that I kind of come up with to create a space where you can spend time together. And so I added a feature, a mechanic that I won't have time to talk about, but the idea was basically to encourage them to do things on their own and just play. And the hope there was really that the game kind of becomes a structure where they can exist within, and then hopefully at some point the game fades into the background, and what you have is two people, spending time and enjoying time together, doing things that are just fun and enjoyable for them. And that was kind of a breakthrough for me, I think.
Yeah. And in our prep for this session, you also spoke about how often the parent has to take the lead, and they're very particular about how the things are going in the game or trying to teach and educate. Talk to the audience a little bit about how you embedded some of your therapeutic principles about play and experimentation through your tooltips.
Yeah. So I added some tooltips that I labeled them parent hacks, and basically, in a therapeutic setting, I would, if I'm with a parent and child, I would often try to either model or give some ideas on, Dad, like, it looks like you're getting real frustrated because your child isn't succeeding. Like, that's okay, and you can just be with him and try to help him through it, trust him to succeed, things like that, right? I added a number of those that parents could find. They're not a core part of the game, right, and you can ignore them, but the idea is, if they're having this attachment building experience, to give parents just some guidance. I think we all need it, right? I'm a parent, and every single day I'm questioning if I'm doing it right. And so just little ideas, right, that would say, as you're playing this experience, as you're doing this mini game, here's something you can think about. Here's how you can communicate positively. Here's how you can show that you trust your child. Things like that I hope can be just a very simple additional layer to what the game, hopefully, if the core of the game is play, this is just one layer that can maybe assist.
Sorry.
Now, Elise, you mentioned that you're not a traditional game designer. You came from a kind of a wider background. Yet here you are at a game jam and very bravely went by yourself. So speaking about two creators that are maybe unsure of how to kind of marry game design, well-being, and all of these into a holistic story for themselves and their own personal well-being, talk to us a little bit about what you would recommend to people that are interested in game design but might not see a fit for their own career or their own vision for their future.
So, as a musician, being a musician is enough to be judged by anyone that ever see you. So I was never actually looking for traditional roles, And gaming for me was always a hobby. I never thought about it like a work to do. But when I realized that, it's not because it's work that it needs to be serious. You can have fun. So this goes for everything. If you want to be in gaming and you don't know why, just do it. You find something. Soundtrack, it's something that most of game studios, they don't even know how to, read sheet music. So it's something so specific, and yet you have a role there. If it wasn't for our soundtrack, I don't think the game would be as good as it is now. So everything, I think that I am creative enough to, make these characters look cute. Then go to somewhere, try to find a studio or someone, a partner that needs someone to make the characters look cute. It has a place for everybody. You don't need to follow this same path every single time. I think that we, as a society, we are always like, we are always worried. We are always trying to find the new thing. We are always trying to fit in. And I don't think that this is the path, you know. The path is to have fun. I think that if we are here today, we are all like, some way, we all love gaming. And I think that gaming, in the end of the day, is about having fun. So if you want to have fun, just go gaming.
And now, Gilson, back to you. So you often speak too, talking about the interdisciplinary nature of gaming and the work you're trying to bring to university. What do you think is the benefits and the opportunity of that interdisciplinary work?
Well, I think that the university itself, the system of education, so to speak, has met in Brazil a barrier on the one hand for expansion, qualitatively speaking. Quantitatively, there has been a huge expansion, especially in the tertiary level for universities and all that. But the quality is a challenge. And then what kind of quality for what kind of purpose? What kind of education is that? So in Brazil, there's new regulation now. And one is really very, very important for community-based projects or projects that want to create that kind of live experience. It's a live experience, not only just a coding experience or a screenwriting experience. It's really very immersive. Can be being here for us is already part of, you know, going beyond. So being open to the uncertainty of our projects and all that. Well, okay. In the case of Brazil, the legal reference now requires any student in any university, be it public, private, whatever, every student will only hold a diploma if at least 10% of curricula are implemented beyond the walls, the magic circle of the university campus. So you are required now, as a student, and of course this requires all the professors to follow suit. We need more of that kind of context for game design, for game experiences. I think that what's important is, in our case, for us, it's really a landmark for Games for Change Latin America, because we took this event like a game jam, we took that event to the Institute of Advanced Studies.
Yep.
Wow, super chic, okay. It's not only that important as an icon, but what's important is I would say transdisciplinarity.
Yep.
Because we are dealing with science, we are dealing with technology, but we are dealing with emotions, with human rights.
Yeah.
So I always focus on this horizon of human rights as our lighthouse, so to speak.
Well, it really breaks down a lot of those barriers and shared communication across, you know, disciplines. So I love the work you're doing there. Turning to our last couple minutes here, we've talked about a wide variety of things: well-being, prosocial design, how you can use gaming for different areas and explorations in your career. I'll just go down the line. What is one takeaway that you think is most important from the work you did with the challenge and with your game? Lais, we'll start with you.
For me, like, the most important thing is that when you play our game, you feel safe. We want you to feel safe. We want you to feel happy. We want you to feel like, okay, I've done this. This is nice. I have a nice time with my partner. This is the mentality that we want, because we think that nowadays a lot of things are like so dark and pressure and we hope that when you come to our island, you can feel like you're in a nice place with beautiful flowers and birds singing. And that's the whole experience for us. We want people to feel happy. We want people to feel free.
Awesome. Justin?
Yeah, one thing that I had thought of was that the power of the psychological safety that gaming provides, I think, is just so amazing for us. And again, we've heard a lot about that. One other thing that I've been thinking a lot about, just a few ideas. My grandma on my mom's side and my mom, they play like a casual mobile game together where they come together same time every day, and in the game they like share drinks. But you can imagine what they're doing while they're in the game, right? They're chatting, they're catching up, they're sharing each other's lives. My dad lives in Utah. My younger brother is in Reno, Nevada, and every night basically they put on their Oculus and they play a round of golf together, right? And you can imagine what they're doing, right? They're mostly yelling out swear words, but it's also a chance for them to bond, right? For myself personally, I was in Miami and I had family in Utah and Reno and California, and we would often get together and with the nephews we would play Mario Party, or we would my siblings and I would play Rocket League, and anyway, I love what I'm seeing in the way that games can kind of span space and time, space because people all over the world can play and still have that playful experience, and time in the way that it spans generations, right? Everything from my children and nephews to me, my parents and their parents are all connecting from all over the place through games. And I just think it's beautiful and amazing, and I hope to keep seeing that.
Awesome. And Gilson, our last 30 seconds, bring us home.
Well, the word of the day of this event is connecting reimagination. So that's an invitation for all of us to imagine together. Don't forget to check the Games for Change Latin America blog. News almost every day.
I love the plug. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us. You can play both of these games in the arcade. We recommend coming meeting our amazing developers. And thank you and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.